Hey everybody, so I want to run through this poem, The Raven. I just want to paraphrase it. This was written by the doctor himself, Edgar Allan Poe. I know we got to read it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we're going to paraphrase it because I found it interesting. So let's go through it real fast. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I ponder weak and weary. So it's midnight, it's dreary, dark outside. He's thinking to himself. He's weak and weary on the inside. Over a many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. So he's thinking about old books, volumes of old forgotten folklore. While I nodded, nearly napping, so like falling asleep, suddenly there came a tapping at his chamber door. So he heard this tapping sound at his door, okay? And he says, probably a visitor, just tapping at my door, only this and nothing more. And then he goes off into his mind right here. All this, he's just thinking to himself about the past. I distinctly remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember brought its ghost upon the floor. So he's remorsing over something in the past. Bleak December, dying ember, and a ghost. This sounds like melancholic, emotional tone. Eagerly I wished for tomorrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books or cease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore. So someone died here, Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. So this is his wife that passed away, right? And he's just sorrowful. And then he keeps hearing this noise down here, and he says again, "'Tis some visitor. This is it and nothing more." So he's trying to calm himself down like it's nothing else. It's just a visitor. And then it says, "Presently my soul grew stronger, and he hesitated then no longer." So he finally gets up to go to the door. He says, "Sir or madam, your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and he gently," this is a key word, "gently he came rapping, and he so faintly he came tapping at my chamber door, gently and faintly knocking sound at his door, that I barely heard, I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened this door wide, and darkness there and nothing more." So all he saw out there was darkness that first time he opened the door. And he peered into the darkness, deep into the darkness peering. He stood there wondering and fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no more will ever dare to dream before. So this is a very dark, emotional poem here. But the silence was unbroken, so just total silence, not broken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the word Lenore. And then he whispered it, and an echo murmured back. He whispered Lenore, and the echo said Lenore back to him. Because it's so silent out there, he heard his voice back. Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber. So now he walks back into his house, and his soul is burning on the inside. My bad, y'all. It's burning on the inside. Something's just bothering this guy, and it's his lost wife that died. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder. This time it's not faint or gentle, it's loud. And he says, "Surely something is at my window lattice." So then he gets up to see what it is, right? He opens his shutter, and he sees a raven, a bird, right? And it's just perched on his door. That's all you need to know, right? All we need to know. And then this bird actually beguiling my sad fancy into smiling. My bad. So the bird made him smile. The bird had a grave and stern countenance upon itself. So real grave, just stern look on the bird's face. And the guy said, "Though thy crest be short and shaven," my bad, "art sure no craven." I don't know what that means. No clue. He basically asked the raven's name. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Plutonian is like Pluto, some Greek ancient, whatever god of the Greeks, I don't know. And then Raven answered, "Nevermore." That's all the Raven said, "Nevermore." So he asked what the name is. It said "Nevermore." And then it just says, "Much I marveled, this ungainly fowl." So he marveled that this fowl that's not real pretty or beautiful, and he heard it speak so plainly, discourse so plainly, "Nevermore." Though its answer had little meaning, little relevance to bear. Okay, little meaning to that. For we can't help agreeing that no living human being, yet even was blessed with seeing bird upon its chamber door. Blessed. So we can't agree that no human being can't help but agree that no human being has ever been blessed to see this bird upon its door. And its name is Nevermore. So bird or beast upon the sculpture bust above its chamber door with such a name as Nevermore. The raven sat lonely, right? Just lonely sitting there. Spoke only that one word as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. So he outpoured his soul in the one word nevermore. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered. So he didn't do anything. He just sat there, didn't talk, didn't do nothing. All he said was nevermore. Till I scarcely more than mutter. So then the narrator said, other friends have flown before. On tomorrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. So he's basically saying, the narrator says, other friends of mine have come here before to meet me, but tomorrow they will leave, as my hopes have flown before. So he's saying, my hopes have left me before, hopes have failed before, and this bird will likely leave as well. And the bird just said, nevermore. So really like a sad, he's really broken on the inside, traumatized. The narrator is just distressed, possibly going mad, startled at the stillness broken by the reply, right? So there's stillness, and the silence in the night sky was broken by that reply, nevermore. And then he said, that's basically all we need to know there. All the bird keeps saying is nevermore. And again, but the raven still beguiling my sad fancy into smiling. So the raven is cheering this guy up. And he says, what this grim and gamely, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird are you? Meant in croaking nevermore. What do you mean by nevermore? And he's guessing. There I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burn into my bosom core. So the bird's staring into his eyes now, or staring into his bosom's core. This and more I sat divining with my head in ease, blah, blah, blah. Nevermore, nevermore. And this is pretty much the poem. You know, the raven just keeps quoting this word over and over, nevermore. And eventually the guy gets mad at the bird, okay? Be that word or sign imparting, bird or fend, and he puts an exclamation point, adamant about it. I shrieked, upstart and get thee back into the tempest and the night's lieutenant. So get out of here, he said. Leave no plume as a token, so don't even leave any sign that you were here. Leave his loneliness unbroken. Just leave this narrator to his loneliness. The guy's lonely. Take thy beak from out of my heart, and take thy form from off of my door. Then the raven again said, nevermore. As the raven never flitting, still sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all this seeming. So this is just basically it's just a sign of something just sitting there gnawing at this guy's internal core on the inside, just dreaming, just sitting there. And the lamplight steaming throws its shadow on the floor. My soul from out that shadow lies the floating of the floor. So basically, this guy's just reminiscing about this thing that's made him super sad on the internal inside, and it just won't leave him alone. This bird won't leave. It's just a sign that he's just distraught. There's something really messing with him emotionally, and he says it won't ever be lifted, nevermore. Shall be lifted, nevermore. So his soul from out of that shadow just lies on the floor. Really bleak poem. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I'm depressed now. I need to go watch Toy Story 4 or something, but that might be sad too. Anyways, I'm out.